Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Guys, we are back with this lovely lady right next to me, Mary D. So great to have you back. How are you?
Feeling good, feeling strong, and feeling warm, even though there's a few feet of snow outside, Casey.
You're in Colorado now, right?
Yes, Colorado this week, yes.
What last time we talked, you had this week where you had to do like 3 speaking gigs. You had events. People wanted you to come in to talk to the CEOs. You had an incredible week, and now I'm just catching up with you now. And I think, what are you doing in Colorado now?
I know. So same thing, this is a good trip because I'm catching up with people I've done business with and do business with, which is always a fun thing, right? I just happen to be headed back from Montana to Texas, and I get the phone call. They happen to be on my way. They're like, "Can you make it work?" I'm like, "Of course I can make it work."
That's
And
awesome.
I had 2 VIP days to do this week with clients. So it worked out perfectly. Just following the cadence, doing the strategy, it all is good. It's life on the road is good when you're working virtually, because you just need your computer and a good internet connection, and you're good to go.
Mary D, how important is that? Because look, you're kind of like the Michael Jordan of what you do. How important is it to stay in touch with these people? Because look, you were just going from one place to another, and some people you did business with, like, hey, we care about you, we think about you. Can we hook up? Can we? Yeah, I mean, that's
Totally.
got to be a great feeling, right?
Oh, it's fantastic. I'll tell you, one of the best times that I've ever had that happen, I was actually in Thailand, of all places. I was normally every winter I'll head out to Thailand for about a month. I happened to be there chilling with my sister, and out of the blue, I get a Facebook message from a guy who runs a podcast, does a show. He runs a whole entrepreneurial mastermind, and he says, "Mary," he goes, "I know you don't know me well, but I've been like following you on Facebook for like 7 years. I know who you are, and I think you'd be a great guest. I actually see that you're in Thailand. I'm in Thailand. Can we meet? Can we meet for dinner?" I was like, "Absolutely." So then I get to sit down and really connect and spend more time, because we have a baseline, right? Social media tells us so much, but it's just enough to know a little bit more about someone than nothing at all. So you have that. And then there's usually people you have maybe in common, whether it's clients or vendors. And so you can talk a little bit about that. And then you have the camaraderie of entrepreneurship and knowing what that means and what that looks like. And so those are the beautiful times where relationships are deepened. And also it's a fun way to like round things out and be like, "Oh, you're in my neighborhood. Let's have lunch, let's have dinner, let's connect, and let's see what can come out of this." Because by far, my network has been built from friendships and relationships that tend to lead to business, not the other way around. Meaning,
Wow.
just because I did business and then we became friends, sure, that happens, but in 95% of the cases, I'm friendly, I open myself up, I find people who are just like that, we're magnetized to each other, and then we figure out, wow, we can actually do some business together, and then we go into it. And
That
it's a beautiful way to do it.
that is such a great thing for a younger listener to hear,
Yes,
where you can do business just by they're buying your personality,
that's right.
and then once they talk to you, like, wow, look at all the knowledge, look at all the experience, look what I'm getting along with this personality. Um, so first, I guess you got to get yourself in the door with your personality. Is that accurate at all, or can you get in there with your expertise and your credentials? Because you
You
got them
can.
both.
For sure. You can do both, because you have to remember too, like there's two kind of waves of attraction. And so what I would say to anyone listening, especially if you're like, "Oh, I'm shy," or "I'm an introvert, I don't like to talk to people," like one of the beautiful leverage points you could have is just the confidence to show up as you are. Show up as you are, like knowing that, number one, that's enough. So many times people walk into the room, they're like, "I'm not confident enough because I'm not famous enough, or I'm not, haven't made this kind of money, or I haven't done these kind of credentials." Guys, long before I was doing this for 20 years, there was a time when I'd only been doing this for 2 years,
Mm.
but I still walked into a room with confidence and with curiosity. And those two things for sure were such game changers for me, because I'm walking into it with saying, "I want to meet some people and see what I can learn." but I'm also open to seeing what is going to come out of it. And what came out of it were fantastic relationships that have literally lasted me my entire career. And so it's those doors that create other doors, right? And these are all the little dominoes that we can kind of find and throughout the day and throughout our lifetime, and look back. Like now I can look back 20 years later, connect a lot of dots, but it was because I walked into so many rooms with a lot of curiosity, and that was most of it, right? So
Yeah.
what can I come here and learn? And then also, what value do I have to give back? Everyone's got some value in them, whether it's from something that's just happening in their personal life, or whether it's actually in the realm of, doing business and working in that length. It's just being willing to share it.
I think that's awesome. I mean, you told us once, you said showing up is the first part. I mean, that's so
Mhm.
important, just to show up, just to,
Right.
to be there, because a lot of people won't be there just to show up. But then it seems like what you're telling me is like it turns into almost like a brotherhood, sisterhood, because all you guys have been through this entrepreneur where you got to take a jump, you got to be scared, you got to,
That's right.
right? I mean, there's some kind of camaraderie with that, right? And that's why you can meet up
Absolutely.
with these people.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Everyone is a lone wolf, right? But we're really not. But we're really not. We're a pack. We just don't realize it until we
Okay.
get together and we realize that we're not that different. We realize that the struggles are actually kind of the same. Um, and it's one of the reasons I always share and say, hey, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I'm glad I was an entrepreneur before I was a breast cancer patient, because that mindset and that riskiness and the unknowing and the unknown, those were all things those are a battle in the mind before they're a battle anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so that really prepared me for that level of a diagnosis, because I could go, wow, there's a lot of uncertainty. I don't know what's going to happen, but you know what? I'm going to move forward. I'm going to get as much information as I can. I'm going to go talk to every doctor I need to talk to. I'm going to talk to every nutritionist I need to talk to. I'm going to go unpack all these boxes and figure out, where the information is going to lie right for me. And then obviously my own intuition and what I know about myself and my body. So same thing in
Yeah.
business and in life. And it's nice to meet other people who have felt alone in making those decisions, or have felt alone on their journey, or have hit a wall, or have, somebody ran off with their money, or somebody didn't do a deal right with them, or someone did do a deal right with them, or they exited a business. All the good and the bad, they all go together. And part of it is being able to sit together in a room and say, wow, like we have a lot more in common than we even knew. And that also brings a level of closeness and
It's
confidence to come together and go, okay, not by myself in this.
it's so cool. I love your honesty, and I mean it's so special what you do, because if you didn't have that mindset, we probably wouldn't be talking right now,
True. True.
right?
Yes,
I mean, I hate
true.
to say it, but it's true.
Yeah. No,
So
totally
so
true.
thank God that happened in that way. And there's something. See, that's the problem. Every time you get on, I can ask you a million questions, but I know we want to get something today. So can you give me a little knowledge here? There's something called S curve. Can you explain that to me, please?
Absolutely. So recently, as I've been doing my VIP days this week, this is something that's come up for one of the clients that I'm working with. And I thought, this is a good refresher for anyone out there who is, whether they're a solopreneur or whether they are actually in, full blown agency running their business that's been going for a few years. There's a thing called the S curve, and S meaning like the alphabet S and then curve. And it's called an S curve because I want you to think about it like, if any of you have ever been whitewater rafting,
Oh,
been on a
oh, there you
pretty
go. Okay.
decent, like tumultuous water, there's a point. There's a point where there could be like a rock, and when the water comes off the rock over that corner, it creates a washer effect, and the washer churns water just like this, and that's the same thing as an S curve. An S curve is where you get stuck because it's got that lip that makes you keep going into the same circle. But what you need someone to either pull you out, or you need to be able to swim out of it in order to get out of that S curve. And in business, it's the same thing. There's this S curve that exists for every business. And it's that point where you hit a wall and you can't go any further and you don't know why.
You can't
You're like,
muscle through it.
what am I? That's right. You can't muscle through it and you don't understand why. You're like, there's something happening and I'm hitting this wall. A lot of times people hit the wall because of two things. One is their people. They need better people or they need more people, meaning their business, they might have customers coming through the door. They just can't serve them all because they don't have enough people to fill those roles.
Okay.
The other one is they get stuck because maybe what they've been selling is not selling like it used to. And so now they need a new idea or they need to change, they need to pivot their product or how they're offering their product. And so it's these things that help pull you out of the S curve. If you ever have listened to a health coach, one of those, health guru workout people,
Yeah, of course.
they'll tell you yeah, whatever you call them, the really super healthy people that look super buff, but they eat a certain way or they exercise a certain way. But if you keep doing the same exercises over and over again, your body stops responding like it used to.
Plateau.
That Yes, plateau, exactly. So an S curve is like a plateau, but
Thank you.
that's what we call it in business. We call it your plateau in business is called an S curve, and you get kind of stuck in it and you have to do something different to get out of it. And
Okay.
this is the same thing. And so for anyone that might be stuck in that, just know that likely it's because you might have a people problem. So you've got to add some people to your list. You've got to start getting either better skilled help or you have to go out and do better training for your people to get them to a place where they can take your customers to the next level or your product to the next level, or it's that you need to pivot through your idea. Maybe you need to update your marketing. Maybe you need to start thinking about other streams of income of how you bring in business. If you're used to speaking on stages, well, I can tell you in the last 3 years, if that's the way you relied on business to come in and you're still relying on that, you're probably in a world of hurt right now.
Right,
None
right.
of us can go anywhere or do anything for the longest time.
Yeah.
But if you were like, wow, I've got to do something different, maybe I'll do virtual seminars now. Well, now that's what we call a little bit of a pivot. You're still inviting people to come show up, hear you speak, hear you sell your product, but they're just doing it in a little bit shift of a different way than they used to. And so this can be in to help you out, whether you're creating new products, that's one way. The other one is to find the people who are like you in a similar vertical. So let's pretend that you sell social media services. Then
Okay.
maybe you want to go to an agency that sells brand marketing packages and say to them, hey, I do social media. That's my magic. Do you have space to add that to what you're already selling or offering your clients? And I'll white label this for you, or I will become one of your preferred vendors. And then maybe there's, a monetary deal you do with them to make that happen. Like this is how we start getting creative about
Uh,
bringing in new business. And so that's definitely one of them. And then there's of course referrals, and then like the example I gave, partnerships. So these are
yeah.
these are a couple ideas that I can give people off the cuff
So, is
for
Mary
helping
D,
them get out of the curve.
is it almost like a case of going to the well too often, like doing something good, but it's just not working anymore? And you gotta, like you said, you gotta pivot and bring in somebody else. What you do well at, maybe add that to something else. There's something that needs to change. And is that where you can come in? If you come in and speak, is that the first step, maybe?
Absolutely. We can do that on a few different levels. So sometimes people just need to be inspired to do something different and to do something more. They just need to know that it's available, right? And so a lot of times that's part of, especially when I get to go in and do those events that are a little more esoteric. Those are probably one of my more favorite ones because you're really giving people permission to do what already exists. They just need to hear it for themselves. They've been programmed that, think of school, right? We
Yeah.
have to ask the teacher if we can use the bathroom. We
Right,
have to
right.
raise our hand if we have a question. It's conditioning from a very early age. So it's part of that is just giving people permission to do what they actually already have permission to do and letting them know, hey, I'm rooting for you, right?
Mhm.
Let me you can borrow some of my confidence until you can get your own. The other side of it would be in, for sure, in strategy sessions, which is why I brought up this subject this week, because it's coming up in one of the conversations I'm already having with a client. And it's been interesting to just give them the ideas and give them the verticals and help them see what they are, so that for them, they go, oh my gosh, how was I not seeing this anymore? Now I see it. So I'm just guiding them through the process. And that's part of it. That's part of, again, being someone that's coming to the table to bring value. And you can
Okay.
do that at any age and any stage. Just show up to give value and you'd be amazed at what comes out of that.
That's pretty awesome. Mr. Producer, do you have any, you got some instant feedback? Let's pepper some in. Mr. Producer's got a question for you from the
Great.
instant feedback.
So we have Michelle in Phoenix wants to know, is the time of the pandemic a better or worse time to try and start your own business?
Ooh, great question. I think it depends on the business. There are a ton of businesses that were startups during the pandemic that are thriving. People needed a better cleaning service. People needed to food trucks and takeout became the norm, right? Over dine-in. People were working from home. Give them a solution to keep their kids busy or create separation from another room. Those apps for anxiety, those technology, Zoom, great example. Any technology that put Casey and me in the same room together when we're not in the same room together,
Right.
that blew up, because even though that's how I'm used to doing business, it became everyone else who wasn't doing business that way. It's how they had to show up. So for sure, businesses definitely thrived. Now,
Could that have been the S curve in some businesses?
absolutely, absolutely, the pandemic absolutely was an S curve for some people, and that's where things. So this is sort of the unfortunate example, but it's why, for example, when we're in wartime, certain things increase in value, ammunition, right?
Yeah.
Because we know that these things are going to become a demand in the market. And that's all that's happening, is demand and supply are shifting. That's why businesses, restaurants that got smart about their takeout options, about having a delivery service or getting one, they got on board fast and they
Yeah.
could survive and they could live. If you didn't have that option, if you just were like, oh, I guess we all got to go home and close our doors, well, then this is like the never ending pandemic. So,
It's
they
not great.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
we see a lot of them fold, or if they got their ingredients internationally, oh, that was hard too, because
Because of the
ships weren't run. That's right.
Yeah.
Ships weren't going, and travel wasn't happening like it used to, and it really affected the supply chain. So that's even why now, even when you look at stock market and you look at trends and things, you can kind of see supply and demand. Toilet paper, obviously, that was a really good business in the pandemic.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, that's a good question. Mr. Producer, you got another instant feedback. What do you got?
We have Alex in Toronto asks, how important is the first impression when you meet a potential client for the first time?
Oh,
That's a really good question. It's very important, because people, I don't know what the seconds are. I want to say it's like 8 seconds. Pretty much you're sized up by a new person who doesn't know you in about 8 seconds. So it's one of the reasons why, especially if I know I'm going to walk into a new room, ideally, I want to try and get in front of a person before I get in front of a person. So this is going to be, for example, if I'm going to a conference and I know I'm going to meet with 10 vendors, I may reach out to them on LinkedIn first, just to go, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Florida at this conference. And this way they see my picture. I'm smiling. They can actually get a little background information on me. They can actually see some personal things about me that they wouldn't otherwise know before we show up. And then we have a lot of fun, because so often I know if they've also done their homework, because they'll laugh and they'll go, you're the chief fun officer. I couldn't wait to meet you. And we have a good laugh because we all did a little bit of homework. We got a little
Right.
exposure to each other. And then I can say, great. Hey, I saw that you just recently came back from Canada. How was that trip? Right? We have a little bit of personal touch that we put into it to make an even better impression, because at the end of the day, people actually care more about the fact that you care
That's
than
what I'm
they do
saying.
about anything that you know.
That's a huge respect thing where I care enough about you that I'm gonna, I'm gonna put in some time before I meet you because I care enough about this meeting, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, great
That's
point.
right.
Great point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the more homework you can do on the people that you know that are going to be in the room, they're going to write. That's going to feel really good for them. And it's going to help you remember their name, remember what they do. It's going to help your memory also when you come into the room, and it's going to give you things to talk about. So especially for those of you that might be a little more introverted, that are like, I don't know what to talk about. Like, this is a great opportunity to do some of that homework so you can see, you might find that they have something in common with you. Now you have something to talk about. Now it doesn't have to feel like that awkward, we can only talk about business. Because
Yeah.
I'll tell you that most of the good deals that are done, they're done over like a meal, they're done over drinks, they're done over entertainment, they're done over the enjoyment of getting to know someone and creating a relationship long before they're just there for the business deal.
Wow, Mary D, you got so much great information. Mr. Producer, we got time for one more question? One more? Okay, you got it.
We have Tiffany in New York wants to know, before becoming an entrepreneur, do you need to be able to identify your own strengths and weaknesses?
I would say that the journey of entrepreneurship is constantly evaluating your strengths and weaknesses.
I mean, but that,
Uh,
now that you're so successful and you've done so many things. I mean, all these accolades and the credentials and blah blah blah. Are you still doing that, or do you know, like, look, I got this thing?
you know, and Casey, I think that for myself, there are certain things that I am even more confident in, that I know I got this. I got this,
Yeah,
that I got this, that I got this. But there are times where I'm also realizing there's still some things that I am not overly great at. Like, I'm pretty technical, but I'm not overly technical. And I'm okay with that because I know that I can surround myself with great people who are technical that might need to help me troubleshoot a problem or troubleshoot something for a customer that I can't do. I'm not a web developer, but I
right.
can speak a little of their language and I know what I want something to look like or a function I want something to have. So I can know that I can come in knowing the strategy and I can probably throw some stuff on an Excel sheet that gives them some logic. But at the end of the day, I need them to be great at that so that they can do their part. And this is why also I believe that we're all like pieces of a puzzle, right? We're like one big puzzle. And so all I'm doing in life is I'm looking for the next piece that helps me complete the picture of the section that I'm in. And I'm looking for all those pieces around me because we need each other to complete the picture. And
Right.
that's why I believe we're not all great at everything. It's why some of us are better at speaking and others are better at doing. Some people it can do a little bit of both. Some people are super, analytical. Others are much more creative because it all ebbs and flows together in these really beautiful ways. And I think
Yeah.
that's true in life. And I think it's definitely true in business.
Wow, great. That's a great answer. So, Mr. Producer, you got, do we have one more or should I wrap up? Yeah, we can. All right, good. Awesome. All right. Here's our last instant feedback for the one and only Miss Mary D.
So, Mary, kind of something you talked about earlier. Do businesses that fail to adapt during slow economic times close the quickest?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I would say they close the quickest or they need to go out and find capital that will carry them in times like this. Meaning, if they're going to sit it out, then they're going to need some capital that will infuse some cash flow into their business so that they can get things up and going again if things start to open or rules start to change. And that's, when I say that, it's easy to refer to restaurants because they're kind of the easiest example, but
Mhm.
other businesses too. Here's the thing: there are also going to be businesses that just don't survive. We saw it with Pier One, right? Like Pier One's been around forever.
Yeah.
And I was shocked when their stores started closing. I was like, wow, like that sort of tells you like they didn't have a lot of run rate, right? They didn't
Yeah.
have a whole lot of wiggle room in there to make that happen. And so this is also a question people have to ask. The true, mark of being able to be industrious in being an economy that is advanced is being the ability to be innovative. And this has definitely been years of innovation that are going to come out of what we just came out of with this pandemic as things start to, the new normal starts to show up. Like, where have we been innovative? Where can we be more innovative? And I think that these things happen to create those moments. And this is that moment in time where we're just having to be a little more innovative.
I got you. Guys, Mary D, tell us the last thing you want us to think about here, maybe some to ponder, and then let us know how to get a hold of you and who's a good candidate to do that. Great job again
Absolutely.
today. Love it.
Thank
you for teaching me. You always do, but thank you.
I love it. I love it. I love it when we hop on, Casey. So I appreciate the opportunity. For those of you that would like to get in touch, you can go to marydee.com. That's MARYDEE.com. If you love social media, you can find me at the Mary D. That's my whole name spelled out, super easy on just about any platform. And then other than that, I would love for you guys to head over to the abundanceamplifier.com. That is the next live event that'll be happening end of May this year in beautiful Texas. And it's going to be a great event. It is a multi-day event. We're going to be going through business, entrepreneurship, love and life. It's going to be an awesome opportunity to network with some really high caliber folks. And we're going to have some heart opening mind shifts. And I'm excited about training, teaching, and just being present for that. And obviously the value that the other speaker is going to bring.
Awesome. Guys, that's the one and only Miss Mary D. Thank you so much. Can't wait to hear what you have to say next. Guys, we'll be right back. Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Casey.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.